I'm Meg, and I'm going to be telling you why music matters. When you do any activity, it lights up your brain. For example, if you're riding a bike or reading a book or even watching TV, you'll have a part of your brain that ignites and fires up. When you listen to music, it lights up your entire brain. And that's obviously a lot more activity than if you're just doing something like riding your bike or reading a book. But one way that you can one-up even just listening to music is playing music. And that is why I pose the question, why does learning an instrument matter? I personally play quite a few instruments. I have had experience with lots of things and with learning with teachers and by myself. And that's where I'm going to start, is learning solo versus with a teacher. I have been playing the clarinet for 9 years now, and I learned that through school, so that was obviously with a teacher. And so I have had that experience with music at a very early age, and has made all of my instruments easier to learn from then. I have learned since the ukulele, the guitar, some violin, and some piano. I have been learning most of these instruments with teachers, and one thing that's positive about learning with teachers is that they can give you your own their own stories and their own tips and tricks for how they like to do things. And I've only ever learned one instrument by myself, and that would be the ukulele. I really enjoyed learning the ukulele because I could go at my own pace and I could play it whenever I wanted. And it was never really stressful for me, and I didn't have to keep up with anybody else. And versus when I'm learning with a teacher, so when I was learning guitar and clarinet and some violin and some piano, they give you their input and their way of doing things, and so they give you kind of their way, and they'll give you lots of tips and they'll give you their experiences, but you can't really judge for yourself on that. It's really nice to learn with a teacher because they do give you their input and they can tell you if you've improved over time, and that is really something that's important. So I'm going to move on to next with what I've learned. What I've learned throughout this experience is I've been learning guitar for the past 2 years, and it's been my most recent difficulty. I've been learning much more difficult things, and I've been challenging myself a lot more. And one thing that I have learned is the self-discipline that is required for this. You need to have an incredible amount of self-discipline because it's your job to make sure that you are improving as a player. And it takes a great amount of patience. Patience is something that you really need, especially for learning an instrument, because you won't sound nice for the first few times you try to play it. And when you do take the time to learn how to do it, it'll just keep you better off at the end. And one of the most important things I've learned is coping. It not only gives you a time to cope with what you are going through and stuff, but it's a stress relief. It makes you feel a lot better, and you can express emotions that you really can't when you're just talking normally. I have a few examples of coping, but one that I'm going to stick with is someone that I'm actually very close to got off of a lot of hard drugs and just bad things, and kicked a lot of every bad thing out of the life of them, and they just dropped it all and decided to pick up a guitar and learn an instrument. And that is something that is really great because it can show you that anything can change and that music can really help and heal, and that's important. And that ends with personal growth. And personal growth is really, really important when you're learning something, and when you have that personal growth from an instrument, it's really, really important in the end. My personal challenges were to not give up. I did give up the violin because it sounded terrible. And that's one thing that you're not going to get away from is the first time you play it, like the first year or so, you're going to sound terrible. And that's something that I was not interested in because it sounded so bad when I was trying to practice it. Now, another thing is you have to keep yourself from getting frustrated when you're learning an instrument. Sure, playing that high note on your clarinet will be fun and sound nice in the end, but when you're first learning it, it is going to sound terrible. So you have to keep yourself from getting frustrated because it's really you that's holding yourself back, and sometimes you just need to take a break from whatever you're doing. You need to take a break from learning your instrument and take that time to rethink and just cool down, and then you can go back at it. And then, in the end, you have to remember why you're doing it. You know that you're doing it because you want to learn something new, and that it's something that you would really want to continue doing and makes you feel better. So overall, what I learned is it really takes some dedication. Dedication is really the backbone of everything, is you need to be able to take your dedication and turn that into something. And that's where motivation is. You need to take that dedication and turn it into motivation and continue to improve, and that's really important. But the most important thing is it is for fun. The time when you have to play an instrument or learn something new is you have to remember that it is for fun and it's not something that you're being forced to do. It's something that you choose to do, and it's really just, it's for you to feel better, and that's just really it. Thank you.